Hey y'all, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Y'all already know I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here on my channel, we do fun recaps, reviews, and discussions of all of our favorite shows. We are talking tonight, Sunday night, but this is on Saturday night show, Love and Marriage Huntsville, season 9, episode 16, I believe it's reunion part 3. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. We are done with this season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Thank you, Jesus. Let me move this monitor. I got my laptop hooked up to a monitor because girl can't see. Y'all know I have an eye disease. So I have low vision. So, but I sometimes keep looking at the screen and I want to do that for the video. So I'm like, let me move it so I can focus right here. Anyway, before we get into it, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you like the video and you comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this part of the reunion, the whole season, all 3 parts of the reunion. Do you think the show should come back? I am ready for Love and Marriage for Huntsville to wrap it up. I mean, I can see they have stuff to talk about next season as far as like Martell and his little side chick convention that was a flop. But other than that, like we could really wrap it up. We know Mel left the show. I think she's suing the show allegedly. I don't know. Everybody mad at Carlos right now. Child, they can go on and wrap it up. I heard Love and Marriage Detroit is coming back next. So I know we did start reviewing that season. Hopefully we can, just pick up where we left off there. Anyway, thank you to the new subscribers. Seeing some new subscribers come through, y'all just really motivated me. Because y'all know sometimes I feel like maybe I should give up with YouTube, especially with being in school again right now. But I'm just trying to make it work the best way I can. So if the videos are late, y'all already know it's because I got lots of homework, lots. But right now I'm in a good space with school. I'm not like behind or anything, so I'm like right on track. So I got a little time for y'all. What was I gonna say? Housekeeping, real quick. All of the after this video is posted, all of the Love and Marriage Huntsville reunions have been posted. And I do need to make a community tab post or whatever they call it now, child. Anyway, we're caught up with Ready to Love as well. And I do owe y'all a family or fiance from last night. I don't think I'll be doing that tonight though. I want to enjoy my 3-day weekend. I'm gonna go watch Love Is Blind, and if I can stay up late enough, maybe Young Rich and African or whatever, Young Famous African. Y'all know the name of the show. Anyway, I want to enjoy my Sunday night, so I can't promise y'all family or fiance tonight, but it will be coming tomorrow or this week. All right. And then Love Is Blind, like I said, we got to see. I don't know how that's gonna fit with everything else I got going on, but maybe I'll just do shorts to keep up with Love Is Blind. We'll see. Or maybe some lives or something. We'll figure out something. Anyway, let's get into this reunion so we can wrap this up and we can get on about our day, honey. So like I said, we're at part 3. So I believe we're at the part where we left off with Trisha and Ken and Martell joking and laughing, saying that he slept with Trish, and then nah, I'm just playing. They asking Ken, do you find this funny or nah? And Ken said no, it's not a joke to him, and it wasn't a joke, Martell. It was not a joke. And so Ken, his thing is his issue is with Trish. At some point Carlos brings up the whole thing of the argument they had at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, that final scene of the season when they got into it, that good scene. So he brings that up and he's like, you guys in a good place now? And he's like, oh yeah, we're good now. But the issue with that was like, I feel like, Trish, I kept trying to tell her, like, if you did something with Martell, it was before me. My issue with her is like, be honest with me and tell me what happened. And so he was, I feel like Trish, she does try to get like, poke at me. Like she tries to dig at me like that one over there. And so he was pointing to Marcel. Marcel's like, who you pointing to? You talking about Mel? And then he's talking about Marcel. No, Marcel does. He tries to bring stuff out of you, right? Marcel's the type that gets you heated and then look at you like you crazy, right? So, but before they had gotten into that, let me back up a little bit. So, Martell was like, no, I think Carlos asked Martell, like, why would you insinuate that you slept with her if you didn't. And then Martell said something. Martell just was lying. And so Carlos asked Martell, like, is it true you said something to about like you didn't want to sleep with Trisha, or no, I think first he asked her, let me stop. First he asked her, no, first Carlos, sorry y'all. First Carlos, I'm getting it all confused. It was a lot happening. I think Carlos was saying like, why are you trying, like you didn't know her and all this stuff? And he was like, oh, she looked different than when I first met her. And then he was like, well, why are you trying to say that you slept with her and you didn't? And it seems like you're trying to, drag her character. And so now Ken had went off saying a bunch of stuff. And so Mel was like, oh, so you not gonna say nothing to him right here? All this big old man right here, he had all this bass in his voice. You not gonna say nothing to him right here? And so then Martell's like, what you talking about? Now, Mel, you said for Martell not to speak to you in part 1 of the reunion, but you over here holding conversations with him. And you did it a couple times in this reunion. Now, I'm not mad at what you said at all. Because Mel's thing was like, you got all this smoke for all the women here on this stage. You was getting into it with all the women's on the stage. But then you didn't get back at Ken when he was getting at you. That was Mel's point, which I totally agree with, right? However, Mel, you told this man not to speak to you on the stage, but then here you are speaking to him. So I was very much confused. Was anybody else? So anyway, Martell's like, oh, Mel trying to just gaslight the situation up. She's trying to gaslight the situation up. No, like, he was like, well, he wasn't disrespectful to me. He hasn't said nothing disrespectful to me. Nah, I got no problem with him. And so he's like, okay, Martell, but why did you try to say y'all slept together? And he's like, my issue was like, why are you making jokes about it and all this stuff? And so then he was like, oh, I didn't make jokes about it. And then he like turned around and made a joke right then. And they're like, you just did. Like, you literally just made a joke about it. Like, the fact that you would say like, oh, we slept together, now I'm just playing, that's a joke. But then you're going to turn around and say you didn't make a joke about it. That's the part where I'm talking about he was lying. So anyway, so, and I know I'm going out of order a bit, y'all, but we just talk. So, then, Martell was like, was bothering him because people kept bringing it up. So then he was like, well, then I'm going to just say, I'm going to just throw, say some different stuff about it. Like, basically, he was kicking up mess, keeping up dirt. Like I told y'all this, how many reviews ago did I say Martell was keeping up confusion and mess regarding the Trisha situation? I told y'all that. So like weeks and months ago, we didn't been on this season in half the year. I told y'all that. Anyway, so and then they were like, okay, but Martell, you don't see like that could be an issue. And so then somehow I know that's what Carlos was like, oh, is it true you said you felt like Trisha wasn't, didn't look good enough for you to be sleeping with? And so then this one Mel took over hosting real quick from Carlos. She's like, so Chris, is it true that Martell called you up and said he was looking for a woman? So you told her, one, a fine one just walked past right now. So he looked her up real quick and then, found who she was. And you was like, dang, you found her real quick. Did that happen or not happen? I was like, you are not the host, lady. But it was funny because she hijacked Carlos's job real quick. She hijacked it. So anyway, Chris is like, all I did was he called me. I was at the gym. Oh, beautiful girl walked by. I told him, who she was, and that was it. I gave her the name. That was it. So Ms. Nell whispered something to Chris, sounded like she cursed. So anyway, so Carlos is asking Trisha, like, was you going down there to work out? And so at some point, Martell was hollering so much, Ms. Nell got mad and was like, stop hollering in my ear. And so, because he was like, oh, why is it? Oh, when they were talking about the joke part, and he's like, oh, why is it okay for Mel to do it, but not okay for me to do it? And he's hollering, hooping, and hollering. And so Ms. Nell was like, stop hollering in my ear. And then he's like, well, you need to hush. You need to hush. And then I think Chris must have checked him or gave him a look because he did apologize to Chris. And even Maurice was like, Martell. And then when Ken was going off on Martell, when Mel was talking about, I seen Marcel made the teacher switch places because he didn't like Ken yelling next to his woman like that. So anyway, So Carlos was like, okay, so did you think you was going down to the gym or down to the house to work out? Because a gym has, equipment, sanitizer, towels, a house has sofa, a kitchen. And so she was like, well, I thought I was going to the clubhouse because I'll be training people down to the clubhouse. And, when I looked up the neighborhood, it was a nice neighborhood. So, I thought I was going down to the clubhouse to work out, and the place do got a clubhouse. Martell verified it had a clubhouse. All right. So, I don't think Trisha and Ken, and Martell did anything. I don't know. Okay. So first I felt like they didn't. Then I was like, oh, maybe they did. But I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I think it's kicking up dirt and dust in the storyline to make us think one way or the other, right? So anyway, Trish said, she went there. All Martell was talked about was Mel and his marriage and all that. And so Carlos was like, okay, well, when Martell Holt DMs you, like, what do you think? Like, you didn't watch the show? You didn't know this man had been married? The show had been going on for how many years? Blah, blah, blah. She was like, no, she never watched the show. And Kim was like, I never watched the show either. And so he's like, oh, well, you're a man. And then Carlos was like, oh, what else is on in Huntsville? Like, people have cable and streaming, Carlos. Like, everybody ain't watching your show, sir. Like, the nerve of you. So anyway, Trish said she didn't watch the show. And so I think then they eventually move on for that stupid segment, child. Then they talk about Marquez. Marquez came out in this Grace outfit. Marquez remind me of Slim for 112. I've been trying to figure out who he remind me of. He remind me a little bit of Slim for 112, just like a little bit. So anyway, Marquez came out, and this segment was also another waste of time, in my opinion, because all you hear is Marquez and Ken and Trisha yelling back and forth. Well, first they showed their package. They were like, you haven't seen, the kids since Melodies and Mimosas, and he told me he been ostracized, I've been kept away from my kids, and my issue is with, Trisha and Ken, and they not letting me see my kids, same old stuff he was saying on the show. And Ken is like, I didn't pay for this, I didn't did this, I didn't did that. And so then Marquez is like, oh, you're only saying that you could pay for stuff for my kids, it's only about the money, it's only about the money. So Kimmy trying to pipe in and was like, well, who paid for the dance, who did this? And so Maurice is trying to quiet her down. Marcel's like, how about just giving water? I was hollering. So then Marquez is going on and on, like, he don't want this man around his kids, and he hasn't got to see his kids, and parent elimination is a real thing, and they haven't done anything. And Ken is like, they paid for the son to go see him on his birthday, and they took care of this and did that, and he hasn't, done what he needs to do. Ken is like, you need to be a man, you need to do this and do that. Ken, Marquez is just swearing, they just so bad, and his problem is with Ken. Ken need to let that lady, do her own thing and leave Trisha alone, and he's in the way, and all, all this stuff. And so, trying to take over raising his kids. And Kimmy was like, well, you like Marquez, you wouldn't want a man, because Marquez is like, you need to, okay, you could tend to her, but don't don't worry about my kids. And so Kimmy's like, the kids are a package deal, which is like, duh. And so Kimmy's like, Marquez, you wouldn't want a man that would take care of your kids? Like, what are you saying? Like, Marquez sounds stupid. He sounded stupid. So everybody's looking at him crazy, and he was like, yeah, I got messages where he's something he said he was fighting for his marriage in 2017 or 2021, and Trish was like, he wasn't even there, he wasn't even in the house. Like, what you talking about? And so he said he got press messages from Ken, called him a loser or something, he said. And Ken was like, you a bum. Why the camera pan to Martell? Y'all wrong for that. Y'all wrong for that. So at some point, Marquez is up hooping and hollering, and Carlos was like, you need to sit down. Like, the point of coming here is to prove your point, see where you wrong, where you right, and all that. And he's like, I don't care what's happening on the other side of the sofa over here. I want to make sure you're good with your kids. Okay. So I think Carlos was like, okay, child, let me move on. So that he was asking about, where they're at the divorce. Somebody need to sign the papers, not sign the papers. Maurice chimed in a little bit with his lawyer hat, but not enough for me. He tried to say he presented the papers first on the show. I don't remember. I thought Trisha did. They had a first discussion about it, but I don't remember him. I can't remember if he pulled out the papers that day, that, when they had that first meeting, when he first came on the show. I can't remember. He may have. I don't know. Anyway, so the papers still need to be signed. He got 30 days, something stupid like that. Anyway, Then Carlos is like, okay, so I hear you got a little crush on Melody, and he's like, it's more of a admiration for her with business and stuff. I want to have a business meeting with her. I want to give her flowers while she on the show. So Carlos rushed and got the flowers off the table and gave them to her, and he went and presented to her. Before he did, he went to Martell. Was like, hey, it's no issue, right? No issue, right? And Martell's like, nah, go ahead. So what Martell gonna say? What was Martell gonna stop you? No. So anyway, he gave Melody her flowers and got down on one knee, and Carlos is watching over there with Trisha and Ken. A mess. And so he said, he want to have the business meeting and everything. And so Melody was like, yeah, he's right. He really does, admire me, and he's talking about business, and we're gonna do that, and da da da. Like, girl, okay. So anyway, Ken was like, be careful, he's a scammer. He's a scammer. He doing the same thing Martell was doing, going off with the, like your superpower, the things you like. And so Melody was like, well, it's not the same thing because me and him didn't meet up yet. So she was like, oh, don't put me over there with Trisha. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, that was pretty much the end of that segment. I mean, it was funny, but yeah. Anyway, moving on, I think then Carlos brings out all the girls. Okay, where are the girls at? He brought all the girls on the stage. He said, I love being here with the girls, honey. So then, they talk about the girls' trip. Who had fun on the girls' trip? Miss Nell did not. Destiny did not. I think everybody else raised their hand. Yeah. So anyway, teacher's like, Miss Nell, you didn't have fun. She's like, no, it was just too much for me being with all the girls. It's too much. She didn't want to leave her husband. She didn't want to do all that. So they showed the St. Thomas package. Teacher said the only thing she didn't like was the rooms. Teacher felt like the rooms are kind of like the slap in the face. And Carlos was like, you felt like you should have been in the bedroom because of the OGs. And she was like, yeah. And so Kimmy was serious about it, though. She was like, it was damn right disrespect. It was disrespect. And she felt like she got, it was, it did mean something, yes, in general. But then at the same time, she felt she got caught up in the whole crossfire thing with Destiny coming on the trip as well. And she said, but the reason why it was disrespectful to her, because, in the beginning, they were filming scenes with Mel in the backyard because she had the vision for this show and they weren't getting paid anything. So that's why she felt like, okay, the least she could have done was get them a good room. Okay, so I see Kimmy and Tisha's point. I do, but then Mel really not y'all friend like that. And then plus Destiny was coming on the trip. And then who else would she have room? I mean, she could have been with Stormi. Stormi was already with Trisha. So in order for there to be space for Destiny as well, I understand. So I feel like Tisha and Kimmy really got caught up in the crossfire of the Destiny coming on the trip, that situation. But I could see their point also. Like, I definitely see their point also because they are the OGs of the show. But y'all not her friends like that. And she not y'all friend like that. So there's that. Sorry. So anyway, I think then Carlos talked about the whole Miss Nell saying, the fans ain't got in Mel's head because herself comparing herself to Jesus. And I remember that scene, and I remember I was like, Mel, please stop. Didn't like it. I don't like for anybody to do that. So I don't care who it is. So then Miss Nell was like, yeah, I did say that the fans have gone to her head. Yeah, I do agree with that. And so I think that's when Mel stood up and she was flapping her cape, child. You don't, and she was like, you haven't been involved in many conversations now where you just said, y'all know this is Mel's ish. She the queen of the show. So y'all just need to bow down because she the queen of the show. She the queen of the show. She the queen of the show. And then Miss Nell was like, yeah, okay, like I've said that. and she was like, okay, but don't make it like I haven't. She kind of like circle back to the mentor thing. Now, why we got back here, I don't know. But it did lead to an apology for Mel. So I was happy with that. I was really, really, really happy that Mel finally said, I appreciate you, Miss Nell, because that's what Miss Nell wanted and needed, and in my opinion, deserved to hear. Okay. And so, like I said, Melody was doing that hooping and hollering, sliding down her chair because Miss Nell was like, okay, but I have been there for you. I've counseled you. I've told you, and Mel's been in her vulnerable points. Mel, you good. I've been there for you. And so then she starts sliding down a chair. So Miss Nell's like, don't do that. And they were like joking around. And so then Mel was like, but haven't I done that for you too? And so Miss Nell's like, see, don't do that. That's what you do. Don't do that. And so she's like, but haven't I done that for you though? Haven't I been there for you? She's like, yeah, a time or two I might have called you about Chris and Martell, but other than that, like it's more so been more of me being there for you, dealing with you and your Martell stuff, and then you and your personal stuff. And so then Mel finally said, "Okay, you know what, Miss Nell, Miss Nell's like, I don't want to go back and forth with you like this, like Miss Nell's on her grown woman and stuff, in my opinion, and so she's like, I don't want to go back and forth with you." And so finally, Mel's like, "You know what? I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Miss Nell. I do." And so then Kimmy tried to jump in. Now I don't know why she was jumping in, Kimmy. I don't know why you was jumping in, girl. I don't know why you was jumping in. So Kimmy tried to jump in and was like, "But you didn't think that when you said," and then Mel was like, "No, I want her to hear this. I appreciate you, Mel. Miss Nell. I appreciate you, Nell." So she shut Kimmy all, Mel shut Kimmy all the way down. It was funny. So anyway, then they get in the whole Destiny and Mel thing, and how Mel felt like Destiny was a little bit too eager beaver being on her behind when they was getting to it down to the St. Thomas. And Mel was like, "Yeah, every time I would sit down somewhere, she was there asking me, 'Did you see this? Did you remember that? Did you do this?'" And so Destiny's like, "If you're gonna paint the picture, like, I'm moving too fast when we're trying to reconnect our friendship to the girls, then yeah, it's gonna feel some type of way." And I can see both Mel and Destiny's point. They need to just move on. Now, speaking of Mel and Destiny, so everyone's talking about how they played the whole thing about the grooming thing that Destiny said that Mel Martell had going on. And I was watching a couple reviews on YouTube where they were talking about it, and they said Philo played it. Now I use Philo. And I know some of y'all ain't heard of Philo. Philo's only like $25, $26 a month, and you get a lot of channels. So anyway, like I don't have DirecTV anymore. I use Philo and a couple other streaming platforms. So anyway, little plug for Philo. They need to pay me. But so I guess they said Philo is the one that had the description about the grooming thing, which I gotta go check my Philo when I got from here and see if it says it or not. I don't remember if I read it or not. But they said Philo's the only one that played that part of the reunion in part 2. But when I watched it to do the review for y'all, when was that, Friday night? It did not play that part, so I think they've taken it off of there by now, is what I'm assuming happened, but it didn't show that on my Philo. So maybe, all that is gone now due to legal things with, Mel being upset and all that, which I understand, like they shouldn't have done that. I guess because it was a salacious part of the reunion. I get what Destiny was trying to say though. Like she was, they was trying to try her to see if she would be down to do, to join them. But yeah, the word grooming could be taken the wrong way, but that it wasn't misused. It was just a strong word to use. Anyway, like I said, I didn't see that part, so I don't really want to get to that. That's a whole nother thing. Let's stick with part 3, child. Anyway, so Destiny and Melody going back and forth, and they both trying to have the last words and say it's gonna be up and stuck forever. They not getting back together. They not working it out. No, they don't see it. Miss Nell's like, both of y'all stop. Both of y'all stop. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know, Mel and Destiny. They just stop. Just hang it up. Anyway, and I honestly don't think Mel Destiny could be cool again if Destiny's gonna be friends with Martell. She definitely is going to have to pick a side. She's definitely going to have to pick a side. Anyway, so after that, I think we finally got the surprise guest after that, right? And it was Stormi. Which I speculated it had to be Stormi. Stormi looks good. We know she did a little, nip tuck. She did, but the body is bodying. The body is bodying. Go ahead, Stormi. She looked good in her dress. She was one of the best dressed up there. Speaking of best dressed, I had to take back what I said, Trisha. No, the blonde was wrong and the dress was wrong. Nope. That dress did not flatter Trisha's body, in my opinion. It looked like it swallowed her up. She definitely should have she shouldn't have worn anything poofy at the bottom, in my opinion. She should have wore something form-fitting all the way through. And I do actually like Tisha's whole look. Now that I looked at it a little bit more and I've seen her in it standing up, I've seen a video she did. I like Tisha's look even more. I will say that. I see a lot of people talking bad about the looks. Some people said the looks are good. I can see what y'all mean. So it wasn't enough fashions, right? It was, some people said it looked very pageantry. Like Tisha had the fashions, Mel had the fashions. I liked Kimmy's overall look, but it wasn't like giving fashions, right? And I like Stormi's look. Anyway, Destiny, you know what? Your dress got messed up, so we're gonna say, girl, you made it and you did good. But I didn't like that blonde on you, Destiny, either. that's not the right blonde for you, girl. It's not. Like y'all doing a lot of these blondes. That's not. No. Anyway, Banyo shade. Is it a 613? Is it a 1B and a 27 mix? Is it 27 by itself? Is it a 30? Find the shade. Okay. Anyway, it's hard though. Trust me. I get it. So yeah, Stormi came out, and Carlos was like, "We ain't seen you about 7,500, 600 episodes. We ain't seen you, girl. Like, where you been?" So she said she was busy with the TikTok. I think she said she was like number one to sell on the platform and doing all this, and everything going on the show. So she did, let them, Carlos asked was she pregnant. They talk about the surrogacy, and she's identified as surrogate. They're not moving to LA. But they hope to have a baby, by next year. She said with everything going on the show, and everybody already knew her for Campus Beauty before she came on the show, and then getting all the negative energy and all this from some fans, aka the millimeters. So she didn't say it, but we know she's some of the millimeters. And so it was just too much, and so it was like an either or thing for her. So that's why she decided to leave the show, and she's just been so busy with what she got going on. And kudos to Stormi. Like, I'm proud of Stormi. I hate she's leaving the show. I would have liked to see more from her, but I feel like she came on here and did what she needed to do, and she got out. She looks amazing. She's eating. She's getting her money. I ain't mad at her. I know I didn't really like Stormi when she first came on. I just didn't like all that what's up stuff and the way she was coming at Destiny, like being Mel's guard dog. But everybody come on the show to be Mel's guard dog, right? And then they not her friend no more. And I was like, when I was watching Mel and Miss Nell Mel go back and forth, I was like, oh, Miss Nell ain't about to be Mel's friend after this. But at least Mel did apologize. But somebody told me on Twitter that Melody blocked Miss Nell, so child, who knows? Anyway, and then the final package we got was the Keke segment, y'all. It was the Keke segment. It was the first time I watched it. I watched it Saturday night, last night, and the first time I watched it, y'all, I was toe up. Ooh, I was toe up. I mean, I was toe up. And then one of my people I work with, I'll say that, very close with, was going through some things as well. So it was a lot. It was a lot Saturday night. I wanted to do this review. I had an assignment to do. I said, let me just get this homework done, okay, and focus on something else. I couldn't do it last night. Couldn't do it. But yeah, the Keke segment had me in shambles. Had me in tears. We seen that Tisha did like a little memorial thing for her, and they lit like some candles or something and sent them all, like the, what do you call those things? The lanterns, I think what do you call them? Anyway, and Maurice said a prayer. Maurice is crying. Oh, it was so sad. And so Carlos, asked her questions on the stage, and he was like, if I ask you too much, please stop me. And so he asked where she's at with the family. And she's like, right now, she's not worried about anybody else but the kids. She was just maintaining her relationship with the kids, and she's not worried about anybody else. We did know Keke's family was not happy with, Marcel and Letitia and everything that played out on the show. And Tisha said that she hated that the way everything played out on the show, and everybody didn't get to see, all the good sides of Keke, and they only saw what played out on the show. And that was her sister cousin. That's always going to be her sister cousin, her friend. And she going to honor her life no matter what. And she going to, be there for her kids. And, everything Tisha said, I'm not mad at it. I felt so bad for Tisha at that moment. I felt so bad. I feel bad for the kids. I feel bad for the husband, the whole family. Rest in peace to Keke, for sure. Rest in peace. I know I dragged Keke many times on this channel. Many times I did, for entertainment, of course. But I'm not going to do that in this moment. I want Keke's life to be honored. She had her flaws and all, just like the rest of us. And, she deserves to be honored. And I do pray and hope people look out for her children and her family, and that they really can be there for her. Carlos asked the rest of them that they had anything to say, and Kimmy was like, prayers for her kids. And Marcus is like, you could do something for her kids, do something. And so Carlos asked Stormi, he was like, there was something said about you paying for the funeral. Is that true? And so Stormi said, she had affinity for Keke, and why? Because she had the friend she talked about, and so on the show before that struggled the same way Keke did, right? And so she said, the night she found out, she couldn't sleep that night. Something was bothering her in her spirit. So she wanted to reach out to Keke's husband. And so she got in some touch with some people and she called him. And he was like, must have been God, because he was sitting there with his friend trying to figure out, how they were going to pay for the funeral. Because Stormi had said something about Keke having financial struggles and she knew about it. And so she felt like, it's just something she had to do. And so that's just a blessing. That's a blessing right there. That's a blessing. So Stormi did, help out the funeral. And Tisha said, that just speaks to the person you are, Stormi. Like, you have such a good heart. It really speaks to who you are on the inside, and it made me see you in a whole different light. And I really appreciate you and love that you did that. And so Tisha was thankful to her. Now I seen some people down in the Twitter or the X, whatever y'all want to call it, saying like, oh, Tisha and Marcel couldn't pay for the funeral. Like somebody at Stormi had to pay for it. Like, what if that's the way it was supposed to go, that Stormi paid for it? Like, how come we just can't be happy that Stormi paid for the funeral? Why do people got to make it like, oh, Marcel and Tisha was supposed to pay for the funeral? If they already had issues with the family, and what if they didn't know about Keke's financial struggles? Although they probably did, because they knew everything. They know. If nobody knew what Keke was going through, they did. But anyway, not trying to make light of it. I'm just saying, like, I just didn't like when people were saying that. Like, I don't want to get preachy on here, but what if God put Stormi in place to pay for that funeral? Let's not take away, the glory and the blessing in that, okay? It wasn't Marcel and Letitia's place to do that. That's not what they were meant to do. So I'm okay with Stormi paying for the funeral and not them. That's the way it went. That's how it was supposed to go. I just don't like that people were putting that on Twitter. I didn't like that. So anyway, we wrapped up the Keke segment. Y'all know I have been saying this whole time, how are they going to talk about Keke? How are they going to talk about Keke? How are they going to talk about, because they had talked about the whole season, really. They had not talked about. They might have put a in loving memory of when it first happened, and that was it. So I'm glad that they finally, and we know they filmed this reunion in October 2024. So they could have talked about it in the episode, but probably to respect the family's wishes, they didn't. So I think the way they handled it in this reunion was nice. It was nice. And they didn't say anything, derogatory or anything like that, which of course they wouldn't. The girl has passed away. And so, rest in peace to Keke. Prayers for her kids and her whole family, her husband, everybody. I like the way they handled that situation. I think that's the best they could do, in my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Just don't get nasty. Okay. So anyway, but y'all, everybody over here usually be good. Everybody over here be good. But yeah, Carlos saying was end on a high note. Bring out the champagne. They're gonna celebrate Marcel's birthday. Marcel forgot to send the chocolate in the bottle. I forgot all about that chocolate in the bottle. He didn't send it to LA, so they had regular champagne. So anyway, happy birthday, Marcel. The messiest man, sassiest man on TV. Destiny was like next to Carlos, and then they was like, no, it's Martell. Anyway, it's Marcel. But anyway, y'all let me know. It's a wrap on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.